Night live right here. We got Jeff from media over this way. Hey, I pointed the right way. And then Tony from Quick Hits over here. Filling in for 7 o'clock. So Tony's a back-to-back fill-in for us. We appreciate him being here.
Yes, sir.
Crushing it, of course.
No, look forward to it.
All right, so I guess let's get cracking. We'll just go down the list of games here, and y'all can talk about whoever you want to talk about. Let's start with the Panthers of the Falcons. Anybody in there you're starting or watching specifically?
Unfortunately,
it's a very unfortunate game for both sides.
I will be starting Matt Ryan in a couple of leagues.
Ouch.
And then I also have Carolina's defense, so I'm just like hoping I don't get hurt too bad. But as you guys have already saw earlier, I talked about on Instagram that I kicked Mike Davis to the curb.
You did.
So I don't have to worry about him anymore.
I think a lot of people have.
Yeah. And, I'm kind of out on everybody else on the offenses, whether it's, some guys on Carolina or on Atlanta, anybody other than Kyle Pitts, who I no longer have in the league because I traded him for Cordarrelle Patterson, which didn't make any sense at the time. I just wanted to mix it up. But other than that, Tony, you tell me what you got going on with these guys, man.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, 4 out of his 6 games, he's had over 25 points. I think 24.6, or just about 25 points. I think he's a solid start this week. I see him as top 10 potential. Obviously, everyone's all over Pitts after he exploded last week. I'm still high on Ridley. I think Ridley's being overlooked, but he's still dominating a large target share in this offense. He's getting double-digit targets each week. Cordarrelle Patterson can still be sneaky. It looks like he's sneaking into kind of, more of a defined role in this offense. Russell Gage showed up last week on the map, and so he could be a flex start. So there's some guys here on Atlanta. I like if you have to start Matt Ryan on offense, I wouldn't be too upset about that. I think you could do much worse. On Carolina's side of the ball, this offense is just sputtering. Darnold came out the first 3 games of the year, looked great, and since then he just cannot get himself back on track. I was listening to Del Home, who was a prior quarterback of the Panthers, took them to a Super Bowl years ago. Yep. And so he was saying that in his analysis of Darnold, he seems to be all over the place with his footwork. He's missing his targets, and we're seeing his accuracy starting to really suffer. So, I'm a little bit concerned about the Carolina side of the ball. I'm not quite sure. I actually had a trade offer this week with DJ Moore, and I'm not really sure how I feel. Even DJ Moore, look, you're gonna start the guy. You're not gonna bench him,
right?
But he's almost like a rich man's Allen Robinson right now. You see these offenses that are really struggling. Darnold, Fields. What winds up happening, Jeff, is it really caps the ceiling of some of these receivers.
Right.
And you've got a guy like DJ Moore who's a monster, but when you have poor quarterback play, that ceiling really comes down significantally.
Right. So it's really like a role reversal looking at these two teams, man. I was really, that was the only reason I really wanted to hold on to Pitts. But then I started thinking maybe it's Arthur Smith. Maybe he just doesn't know what he has in this guy. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, it's like he woke up, and started allowing Matt Ryan to throw the ball more, figured out Mike Davis isn't Derrick Henry. So it's like, all right, maybe I got to throw the ball now.
They unleashed the Kraken.
It's definitely this game it's kind of weird. I have Carolina's defense in a couple of leagues, like I said, man, and it's just that offense sputtering is now dragging the defense down. I thought I was a smart guy for picking up Carolina's defense. They were killing for me the first 4 weeks. Now it's Like, ugh.
No, I mean, you're right. That's a really great point. It's, poor offensive play really does have an impact on the defense. So you're absolutely right about that. I'm nervous about this Carolina offense. And if I were to tell you that there were going to be 3 quarterbacks benched this week, give me the 3. How could you not have Darnold at the top of that list? He was just benched last week. So this offense really struggling. I don't trust Chuba Hubbard. And so, yeah, I mean, but on the Atlanta side of the ball, there are some guys that I still do like, and I wouldn't be too upset about having to start Matt Ryan this week.
Gotcha.
Like you said, it's funny earlier, like in the season, people were scared to start people against Carolina, and now we're like, put all the Falcons in.
Exactly.
All right, let's roll on down here to the Dolphins and the Bills.
Yeah.
What are we thinking on that one, fellas?
What you think, Jeff?
Play all your Bills, right?
There it is. Except for the running backs. Sanders, definitely.
Don't know which one.
Allen, maybe Moss, but on Miami, my gosh, I don't know what to do. Other than if you want to dart throw, you can go with Jalen Waddle thinking he's going to get targets.
Ouch.
But honestly, that's about it. I'm not even thinking about starting Gaskin. I think that last Bills loss, that was Derrick Henry. They're going to make sure that that running game is dead on arrival for the Dolphins this week. So Waddle is the only. That's only if I'm in a tough spot. I'm thinking about putting him in, but I'm really not looking at anybody on Miami right now.
Interesting. So, what do you think? So, what do you think about with all of these bye weeks? What are your thoughts on picking up Sweeney and plug and playing him? He's the tight end replacing Dawson Knox in that offense. You take a flyer on him this week?
You could. I mean, honestly, anybody. I mean, I even looked at picking up Gabriel Davis. Just because I was in a pinch. I'm like, I've got. Since Devontae Adams was one of my receivers who I had to sit, I've got still Donovan People-Jones that I'm going to throw far away somewhere on the waiver wires. And then I've got him.
You must have watched Wall Street the other night, huh?
Exactly.
Get rid of all them Cleveland receivers.
Exactly. Man. And then I got him on St. Rod. I'm just like, who do I trust more? A Bills receiver or the Lions receiver, especially the one that just got shut out by Jalen Ramsey last week. So I don't know, man. But Sweeney, I think he could get some targets. I definitely do. I think he's a good plug-in.
I think Zach Moss too. I think Zach Moss can be a fill-in this week. He's starting to come on a little bit in that Buffalo backfield. I do agree with you on the Miami side of the ball. Buffalo is the number 1 defense against quarterbacks this year in fantasy, meaning that is the one defense you don't want to start a quarterback against. Right. So although Tua's looked good the past couple of weeks, you're not starting him this week. I'd be concerned about that passing game. Gaskin, though, I do think is a little bit interesting just because Malcolm Brown's on IR. That job now belongs completely to Gaskin. Mm-hmm. Without Preston Williams, without Devontae Parker, who both look like they could miss again this week, I'd be interested to see if they try to utilize Gaskin in that screen game, that passing game a little bit more this week. And I know a couple of weeks ago we saw him with 10 receptions. So I wonder if we might see that type of game from him this week, being utilized a little bit more in that passing game to help neutralize that strong Buffalo defense. But if I've got him, I don't want to start him. I mean, I'm not telling you that I'm excited about starting Gaskin, but I do think if there's anybody on that offense who you can start, maybe Gesicki and Gaskin. But against this defense coming off a bye, you got to stay away from the Dolphins.
And then coming off of that whooping from Derrick Henry, man, I think Leslie Frazier's going to be like, nobody is running on us this week.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I can't argue that.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Man.
All right, let's swing over here to the chat. Damon the Beast is back. I swear I see him in every chat when I'm on here. I love it. I love it to death.
I love this
So
guy.
we got Judy, Antonio Gibson, or CD with Dak out.
Wow.
Must be a flex question. Or no, yeah, it's a flex question. So what are we thinking there? It's harder than you'd think.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
You want to jump in there first, Jeff? You want me to jump in?
No, you jump in on this one.
Jeff needs
this
time
is like
to
a
think.
Jeopardy question, man. I got to sit here and think about what I'm writing down.
So this game tomorrow night, let's start with CD, because I think he's probably the one guy that I'd feel, even though it's CD Lamb, he's probably the one guy I'd feel least confident about starting, just because it really is beginning to feel almost kind of what we saw from Green Bay on Thursday night, where we had the receivers out and they really turned to the running game.
Right.
You know, I really kind of see this turning into an Ezekiel Elliott game. I think they're going to ride Zeke, kind of utilize a lot more with Tony Pollard. Pollard is a sneaky start in this game if Dak is out, and it is looking more and more like Dak is going to miss this week, especially with that injection that he took. Because what I've read is it takes about a week to 2 weeks for the inflammation to come down just from that shot. So I don't anticipate Dak starting this game. And I would be really nervous about starting any of these receivers, not knowing what we've got in Cooper Rush. Not to mention, is Gallup back this week?
He was designated to return, but I don't know if he's playing yet.
But still, they've got so many options there. I'm nervous about CD. So really, for me, it comes down to Judy and Gibson. And Gibson's a full go. And you know, he's up against this Denver defense, which just gave up a monster game to Dearness Johnson. Right. I think he's the one guy I would probably feel, you know, most confident, just because we haven't seen Judy back yet, even though I know he's coming. I don't know if they're going to have him on a pitch count, if he's going to be on a snap count in this game, if they're going to kind of ease him back into kind of in game shape. I would want to look up a little bit more on Judy, just to see if they're planning on utilizing him and giving a full complement of snaps. If they are, it is a great matchup against this Washington defense. This Washington defense is the worst defense against receivers in the league. And so if you feel good about Judy, that he's going to get a full complement of snaps, then I would probably, you know, I'd probably go that way, just because I think him and Sutton are due for a big game this week against that Washington defense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was looking at Antonio Gibson, just knowing or thinking that Von Miller is out. It seemed like that whole Broncos defense just kind of fell apart after he went out, which bodes well for Gibson. But you just never know who else Ron Rivera is going to throw in there.
Sure.
I've got CD Lamb across all of my leagues, and I'm scratching my head right now as well. Do I roll with him or not? You know, he is somewhat a constant when there is another quarterback in there, as we saw last year when Dak's not. So I'm just thinking, if he's running underneath and intermediate routes, he's always a danger to break something. But none of these guys are sure things. That's the only problem, you know.
I think the surest thing out of this list for me is, you're right, that is very true. I think the surest guy is Judy. If I haven't read anything about them limiting his snaps, that would be the concerning factor for me. Is if I had a concern about them limiting his snaps and only utilizing him at 50% or 60% of the total snap count on tomorrow's game, then you've got to go with Gibson. But if you don't read anything about that, I haven't read anything about that, then I think Judy's your guy, especially against this Washington defense. You know, I think he's a lock probably for double-digit targets.
True.
Yeah, I like that. And Gibson, I did see they actually took him off of the injury report this week.
I saw that. He doesn't have an injury designation.
I guess the shin is healed up or healing up.
Shin, toe, he's got all kind of
he's got all kinds of problems. But I can also tell you, as a Dallas fan, you know, last year you're talking about how CeeDee Lamb was still productive. It was Andy Dalton. It was not Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is much lower tier type quarterback than even Andy Dalton. I'm not very confident that he can get CD constant production tomorrow night. So even as a Dallas fan, if I can afford to sit CD tomorrow, I'm doing it. So Yeah, just a little Dallas fan.
Here's one other thing too.
In there.
The Beast is where you plug in. So based on the question, I wonder if you're plugging these guys in as a flex.
Sounds
Because
like
I'd like to know who you've got. Like who are your other two running backs that you're starting over Gibson, and who are your receivers? So I wonder where you're plugging these guys in at. That you're trying to figure out who to use this week. And so if you've got two good running backs that you're playing, and you got two good receivers, and you're looking to kind of get someone into your flex, that's a different type of question, as opposed to, do you start Judy or CD in your number 2 receiver slot?
I never thought I'd say start Judy over CD, but this week I would. With Cooper Rush, I would.
For two reasons. It's for two reasons, Kyle. One, because of obviously Cooper Rush looks like he's going to be starting, and Judy because of the matchup.
Yes,
this is the single best matchup for receivers in fantasy right now against that Washington defense.
Although I am trying to remember what CeeDee Lamb did last year when Gilbert was the quarterback.
I think he had a pretty decent game that week.
That's what I'm looking at. So is Rush better than Gilbert, Cowboys guy?
He's a different kind of player.
I didn't know this for myself.
He's a different kind of player. He's probably not going to throw as much. He's panic, tuck, and run kind of quarterback compared to boy was more of a pocket passer. So
let me see who I have that I
think you're going to see. I think you're going to see Zeke and Pollard very, very heavy.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially they'll want to keep Cousins and Jefferson and Thielen off the field and Cook. So they're going to be running the ball like crazy trying to keep that offense off the field. So let's jump over. We got another question over here. Would you trade Justin Herbert and Marquise Brown for Mahomes and Cole Beasley?
Wow.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Marquise Brown's killing it.
Yeah.
Herbert's killing it. Mahomes hadn't done much.
Yeah. Beasley gets some receptions and some targets, but he's not getting the touchdowns.
Very inconsistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing too is Herbert's already been through his bye.
Yeah.
Mahomes has his bye coming up. And Marquise Brown to Cole Beasley is a significant downgrade at receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
Marquise Brown is a weekly starter. Cole Beasley at best is a flex. The receivers to own in that offense are Diggs and Sanders. So I wouldn't trust enough Cole Beasley to start him on a weekly basis. And it's not a significant upgrade from Herbert to Mahomes. So I would stick with Mahomes and Brown personally.
Yeah. Because Brown at least is no less than the second option in that Ravens pass game.
And they're starting to air it out. They're starting to air it out there.
Exactly.
I'll tell you this too. I would even rather have Bateman over Beasley. Moving forward.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
He says he has Sterling Shepard and Marvin Jones he can plug in if he does the trade, but that doesn't change it for me. Keep Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown's your best receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't any other receiver really that gives you the weekly upside that Marquise Brown gives you.
Right.
He's the real deep threat in that offense. And so Sterling Shepard is nice. He gives you very high floor because he's a high target share, but he's not healthy.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So right now you got Marquise Brown and Marvin Jones as your two starters. I mean, I would not trust Shepard right now just because he can't stay healthy. He gives you that high floor, but he doesn't give you the ceiling that Marquise Brown gives you. And Beasley's not going to give you that ceiling either.
That's true.
There's just something about those Giants players, Tony, Shepard, Barkley. None of them ever stay healthy. They all come back, aggravate it. I wouldn't want to rely on Shepard.
Hell, I'd put my money on Dante Pettis more than any of those guys right now, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Jeez.
Okay. Trip Clap says, thoughts on Javonte Williams for T. Higgins?
Man, they are coming with some questions tonight. Good
yeah.
Lord. That's mid-season for you.
I mean, if you're desperate for receiver, maybe I can see it, but Javonte's an easy choice there for me, I think.
it's kind of for me both. It's like, are you desperate for a running back, or are you desperate for a wide receiver right now? Who else do you have? Because that's the question.
I know Tony's talked
like Mike
extensively
Davis.
about the Bengals and their crap schedule down the stretch.
That's right.
In multiple streams. So I'm pretty sure I can guess Tony's going to say keep Javonte. He's selling Higgins.
Was that?
I said you're selling Higgins everywhere, right?
I am. I'm concerned about that offense. Now they did prove me wrong against Baltimore because I was on your show last week, Jeff, and I predicted I went very high on that Bengals offense, and Chase.
I would have been with you. So yeah,
he went off. So but Higgins is the clear cut number 2 now in that offense. They do have a brutal schedule. But I think they have they've got a decent matchup this week, but over the course of the remainder of the season, it's really a brutal matchup. And Javonte Williams is really the running back to own in Denver.
Right.
I feel like it's easier to find receivers than it is to find running backs. And so I don't know that I would move off of Javonte Williams that quickly. And he also, on the flip side, he has a very, very favorable matchup. He's got Philly and the Chargers. He has Vegas week 16 and the Chargers again week 17, which are very, very friendly against the run. So I would be looking also with an eye towards the playoffs, just to kind of make sure you got guys that you can use in a spot if you should need them. So I would lean more towards Williams myself.
Yeah, unless it's Jamar Chase, there's really nobody else I'm looking at right now for the Bengals. Man, I had Tyler Boyd in a couple of leagues, and I'm trying to get rid of him now. So
yeah, good luck with that.
Exactly.
Tyler Boyd he's borderline droppable now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've been trying to trade Marquez Callaway also, just on a side note, and nobody wants him either. So I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Hector asks, he's 5-2. Is it okay to hold Mack and Watson 4 more days?
Man. Are we talking about as in Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack and Deshaun Watson. I mean, for me, like, unless you need something this week, the deadline passes before waiver runs, so why not?
Right. And on Tuesday. And with Watson, you're still not guaranteed that he's going to play this week. I mean, if you've got space, I've got him in one of my leagues and I'm holding on to him, but there's still no guarantee that he's going to play. Unless he goes to Carolina, that is one place I can see David Tepper just throwing him out there. Like,
good luck, big fella.
We might as well go ahead and try you. So,
yeah, Godspeed.
Exactly.
Straight from the plane to the locker room, right?
Mac is interesting. It just depends if he's traded and where he might wind up. So
he hasn't looked very good though. I don't know what I think if Mac gets traded anywhere, he's not going to get traded and move into a feature role. True. He's going to be relegated to a backup, and maybe for running back depth. Watson could be intriguing. So I think Watson's the one guy you could at least hold through the trade deadline and see if he does get traded somewhere. If he does go to a team like Carolina and they plan on playing him this year, then he might be a nice guy to have moving forward. But I don't really, everything I've read, says he's not going to play this year, even if he gets traded. So yeah. I don't, unless you're in a dynasty league, I don't know what type of value you're going to get out of either one of those guys. But you're at 5-2, so you can afford to.
Exactly.
But Watson, out of the two, Watson, I think, definitely provides you with the greatest upside, and he's the one guy who can be playable for you if he should get traded and then is able to play this year.
Yeah.
With your luck, they'll probably trade Marlon Mack to San Francisco, and he'll get hurt as soon as he steps.
I was just about to say, I think the only place he could go and play right away is maybe in Baltimore. They're giving everybody touches. They're like Oprah down there. Yeah. You get carries and you get carries.
Yeah, right.
Very
real quick, Trip Clap followed up on that Javonte Williams for T. Higgins. He says Michael Carter and Jamal were his next
Do
best
not
running
trade
backs.
Javonte Williams. You can't. Why would you trade Javonte Williams with Michael Carter and Jamal? No, do not do that trade.
Oh
Do not do
man.
that trade.
All right.
Whoa.
Spy Coffee says pick one: Gainwell, Kadarius Toney, or Devontae Booker.
Gainwell, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
same.
Tony isn't healthy.
No.
Tony's dealing with an injury. You look. You don't. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have a player that you're thinking about playing who plays Monday night. Because what happens if you get to tomorrow? You get to Monday night and he's game time decision and he's inactive. Now what do you do?
That's true.
And Devontae Booker, that whole offense right now is a mess. Devontae Booker hasn't looked good. I'm telling you, this guy Gainwell, they've been using him in the passing game. This current staff with the Eagles, they don't have any ties to Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
This is from prior GM and coach. So their guy is Gainwell. This is the guy they drafted. He's looked very good. He actually has standalone value outside of the Miles Sanders injury. But he's a sneaky guy this week.
Yeah. And I think people are getting sucked in with Devontae Booker going against Kansas City, but people need to beware. You know, as bad as Kansas City's defense looks right now, you know, their defense always seems to start trying to come together when they get in bad situations like they are right now. And this could be one of those games against the Giants to where the defense all of a sudden shows up. So.
Well, that's true, Jeff. But the one thing that many people don't realize is Kansas City's they're a negative matchup for running backs. They're good against the receiver. You know, if you got receivers, you start them against Kansas City. But they've been surprisingly good against the running backs. So I just see the game script. Kansas City can jump out to an early lead. You know, jump up to 2-3 touchdowns, and now all of a sudden the Giants are having to pass the football, and Booker gets kind of phased out of that game plan. So
very true.
I think you know, Gainwell is a solid play this week, especially against that Lions defense.
Yeah.
You know,
he's been putting up solid numbers.
They're number 5. Detroit is number 5 in the league. Points allowed to running backs. You got to have a guy when it's starting against the defense.
That's true.
It's very true.
That is true. Yeah.
Very, very true. Hey, I got one for you. Speaking of Gainwell, you playing him or Antonio Gibson this week?
I think I'd go with Gainwell, to tell you the truth.
It's actually for one of my leagues, but it's an intriguing question that came up. Yeah. So just a little extra info for everybody.
My only thing with Gainwell is I think we all would just like to see it. Like, I just want to see it. Let us see it this weekend. Gibson, we know, is going to dominate the touches there, but I do think that I don't know. There's something exciting about starting a guy who's, you know, kind of like that Dearness Johnson game. You know, you get this guy, you plug him in, and he goes off. And so, I probably would lean Gainwell also just because of the matchup and potential there.
It's a great feeling because it happened with me with Khalil Herbert. Every time I was taking Damian Williams, I was just like, I'm just going to take this guy right here.
Good for you.
Great feeling.
That's awesome.
Very good. So Jeff, Trip Clap's having the same issue as you. He says, "Damn, I'm stuck with Boyd now. No one wants him."
Drop him in the waiver void and let him fall, man.
Yeah, just let him go. Let him go.
Well, you know, I'm actually thinking maybe I'll hold on. Who knows what happens? Jamar Chase gets hurt, you know.
True.
Then it'll be back to Boyd and Higgins. You never know who's going to get the lion's share of the targets there, you know. If you don't have to get rid of them, you know, that's my thing.
You got him on your roster, so play him. You know, not play him, but let him play this game against the Jets. Hope that he has a strong game, and then see if you can trade him on the other side.
There it is.
Here's the thing: you're not going to be able to trust him on a weekly basis. He has a rock bottom floor.
Right.
Spy
I'm wondering
Coffee,
how many wide receiver positions these guys have in their leagues. Is it 2 wide receivers and a flex, or 2 wide receivers, a flex, and a super flex? You know.
Yeah. I always just operate under the assumption it's two running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex, and otherwise, let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
Spy Coffee might have orchestrated the steal of his league with that trade. You see that trade he made?
Oh, I forgot to go back to that. Yeah. Traded Boyd and Tunyon for Pitts a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Right before he went crazy, I guess. So, yeah, bro. Good for you. Good for you.
You're not kidding, man. Sheesh.
You're going to need surgery from patting yourself on the back for that one, but you deserve it. You deserve it. Trip Clap has another question. What about Ridley for Chase? You think Ridley's going to make a comeback?
I do. Only because the guy's still an elite receiver.
Right.
He isn't injured. They're throwing the ball to him a ton. It just hasn't worked out yet. But moving forward, I see Ridley easy to me as a top 10 receiver rest of the season. I think if you could get that's an interesting trade question.
It is, man. Because I'm looking at that. I'm just like, for all the stuff that I said about Jamar Chase, I had to take it all back and some. I even had somebody offer me Jamar Chase for CeeDee Lamb earlier in the season, and I was like, you are crazy. Don't ever send me another trade. And now I'm like, So that's a tough one, man. I know that the Bengals' schedule is going to get a little bit harder here, but I think Chase is the real deal, man. He's kind of Justin Jefferson from last year, honestly. But Ridley is Ridley. I think he's going to have his playoffs, at least going in fantasy playoffs. His schedule seems to be just a little bit easier than Chase's. So, and Matt Ryan is throwing the ball again. So I don't know.
But I also understand why that would be very inviting. Looking at Chase's current numbers and Ridley's, and not looking to the future so much, I can see why that would be a difficult one to pass on.
Yeah, and straight up, man, just Ridley for Chase, straight up. Woo.
Yeah,
man.
The guy with Chase is seeing an opportunity here. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
J2 Nice says, need help. My starting wide receivers are Sutton, Claypool, run back Zeke, and Mitchell. He's got Hubbard, Julio, Gibson, and Judy. Would you switch one of these guys? And he also needs a flex.
Well, Julio's not playing, so you don't have to worry about him at all.
So you're debating between Sutton, Claypool, and Judy. Is that it?
Yeah, or putting Gibson in for Mitchell. You're not taking Zeke out, and we already said you're not putting Herbert in.
But let's just start with the receivers, and then we'll do the running backs.
You're the boss.
No, I'm not the boss.
I'm just here to look pretty. That's all I'm here for. I'm here to click the buttons. That's it.
I'm just a fill-in. I'm just a fill-in. Yeah, so I think you got to start Claypool because you're not going to start both Sutton and Judy.
Right.
I don't think that I would feel comfortable doing that. So you're really going to decide between Sutton and Judy, and which of the two you feel most comfortable starting this week. That's really kind of the decision that you're going to have to make. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff? Do you like Sutton or Judy?
I actually like Sutton just because he and Teddy have been playing together. This is going to be Judy's first game back from a little while. So I'm looking at keeping things as they are and maybe throwing in Gibson as your flex because he has down there. I also need a flex.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go because I agree with you. I think Sutton and Claypool are your starting receivers. Obviously, Zeke and Mitchell. Those are all Those are all no-brainers. So it's who you're going to start in your flex. It's between Gibson and Judy, really, right?
Yep.
And you've already got Sutton going, so I don't know that you want to start Sutton and Judy. I'd probably plug in Gibson.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. Let's see what we got next. Oh, here we go. Should I trade D-Hop for Diggs straight up? I'm going to say yes right off the bat. I'm sorry I'm jumping in front of you guys in line, but
Jump in.
that's easy for me. D-Hop's hammy makes me nervous going forward a bit. Hammies always do.
Yeah. Plus the plethora of other receivers, and now Zach Ertz, another tight end. And I was telling people people were like, I don't know, Zach Ertz, there's too many guys around. I was like, I think in those crucial moments, Kyler Murray is going to start looking for Zach Ertz, and that's exactly what he did on Thursday. So that's just another guy now that's there eating up targets. So, I mean, D-Hop is D-Hop. He's going to have his big games, but then there's going to be some games where it's going to be pretty lean. Especially Chase Edmonds is basically another receiver as well. So, Yeah,
I would agree. I think, well, a couple things. First, both of their schedules, I think, are fairly neutral. So I don't know that anyone has an advantage as far as that's concerned. I like the fact that Diggs has already had his bye. D-Hop has not. D-Hop has his coming up, I think, week 11 or week 12. And yeah, I think if you're looking between two players, you want the healthy guy over the injured guy. I'm not really quite sure what the status of D-Hop's hammy is, but that is a little bit concerning. I would in this scenario, just straight up, I would prefer the Diggs side myself.
So we're all in agreement.
Yeah, plus I think, the other thing too is Arizona looks to kind of really incorporate a lot more of the running back. You see Chase Edmonds getting involved, Connor getting involved. Buffalo's all pass all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's why Moss and Singletary are so freaking frustrating.
Yeah, they can be, yes.
Yeah, true.
They are so frustrating to own. All right. King Marcelo, if I could trade Devontae Smith for someone, who should it be? He's my wide receiver 3 behind Hill and Deante Johnson, or should I keep him? Depends on your team needs, honestly. Right?
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think who somebody would give up for him right now.
Nobody
Maybe
exciting.
Marvin Jones Jr., somebody like that,
Well, are you looking for a receiver, or are you looking to get a running back? Are you looking to get a tight end?
Right.
I mean, what position are you looking for? I think if you're looking for a receiver, I don't know if there's anybody there that kind of gives you the upside that Devontae Smith gives you. Maybe a Waddle or Kadarius Toney type. On the running back side, you can get a Khalil Herbert or someone like that. It's hard to kind of say without knowing exactly what your needs are and what type of player you're looking for.
Right.
But I think somewhere kind of in that range is who you're looking at. Maybe if you need a tight end, maybe give him up for a Gasicki.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just throwing names out that I think kind of are reasonable trade targets for someone like Devonta Smith.
Yeah. Those all seem pretty reasonable. You can think of any other names there, Jeff?
Not really, because I've got them on one of my teams, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with them as well. And I'm just trying to think who I would actually give up for him. And like I said, it would have to be someone that's, definitely not a wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 2, you're probably looking at somebody that's a 3 or 4. And, it's just, I don't know, because you never know in the league what somebody really needs. If there's somebody that really needs a wide receiver, they might be willing to, like Tony said, give up somebody who I think is valuable, a Khalil Herbert or something like that. If they've already got, 3 or 4 other wide or running backs on their roster, maybe they'll give him up. But it all depends on what you need as well. So
Yeah,
it's kind of difficult to answer.
He followed up here. He said he'd be his flex, and then he was trying to trade Deontay and Marvin Jones, I guess, together, package them up for a solid flex. I think you got a pair of solid flexes right there, honestly.
Yeah. But if you could package those guys and get Marquise Brown,
he said he has
Brown coming in. So if you're trying, I would definitely make that offer and see what happens.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get Marquise, I would do that.
Worst they could say is no, am I right?
That's it.
All right, Spy Coffee, which I messed up because it skipped. Oh, he has Brown already.
Okay.
So
yeah, you're set at receiver.
Yeah, you're very, very deep at receiver. Here we go. Spy Coffee, what are your thoughts on the Sunday night game, Vikings versus Cowboys? He's in a pick'em league. No Dak, honestly, I'm probably going Vikings, and that breaks my heart. But it is what it is.
Man.
The Vikings at home coming off a bye. Kirk Cousins historically has a very, very good record coming off his bye weeks. So I like Minnesota, especially without Dak. And here's the thing too, is even if Dak starts, can we trust that he's going to finish the game?
That's true.
You know, if they put him in first quarter, first series, he restrains that calf or has a setback, he's coming out. So if you're playing a pick'em in this one, I think Vikings are the safe pick.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking that Diggs can't cover everybody, and the Vikings line isn't that bad. So, Dallas's defense has been looking better, which isn't hard to do from what they've been. But I think this actually could be a higher scoring game for the Vikings more than what some people are thinking.
Yeah.
Vegas has the over-under at 55, so they're expecting a high-scoring game.
If Dak plays, I think. Probably.
If Dak plays.
It's not official yet. That hasn't been adjusted. Diggs could maybe give Jefferson a hard time, but the rest of that defense isn't going to stop Cook and Thielen, and even KJ Osborne could have a decent day this week, I think. So,
agreed.
Going to be very, very.
We all say Vikings.
It's going to be a sad Sunday night game if Dak doesn't play. We finally play in prime time where I'm not going to miss it while I'm streaming, and not even going to matter. Oh, he also said, Jeff helped me win my week 6 game because I started Herbert over Zach Moss. Thank you.
Nice, Jeff. Good job, Spy Coffee.
Not a problem.
Appreciate the props on that. Coming back and giving props.
Man, I need to screenshot that.
You want me to put it back up there real quick? There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Put that on Instagram, right?
Love it.
Jeez, there we go. No problem.
All right. All right. Should I give up Chris Carson for Michael Carter and Robert Woods? My wide receiver core better than my running back core.
Take it before he changes his mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's talk about Chris Carson being shut down for the year.
Yeah.
This is coming from a Seahawks fan. Take that. From a Seahawks fan, take that trade.
I guess that neck injury making them pretty nervous out there. So,
yeah.
If you could trade an injured player on IR for 2 healthy players, do it.
Definitely.
All right. That's all of our questions for now. So let's get back to these games. You cut out there for a minute. What?
Oh, I said this would have never happened if we would have just drafted Jonathan Taylor anyway when we had the chance. That's a whole nother thing.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, we got another question. I was about to get back to the games. Do you think I can get a Najee and CD if I offer Kamara, Pittman, Edmonds? No, I don't.
Wow.
Hold on a second.
You might have a shot this week.
Yeah,
Najee and Kamara are close, right? And so it's really Pittman and Edmonds for CD.
Man,
this would be the week if you were going to get that.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I think you can do that. Sure. I think there's a chance that someone would accept that trade. With these types of trades, I do like being on the side of getting the 2 rather than 3. So giving 3 lesser players for 2 better ones, I like being on the 2 side of that.
Yep.
So you can make it's not an unfair offer. I'll tell you that. It's not an unfair offer at all, especially if the guy is running back needy, because you're giving him 2 running backs, 2 starters for 1, and you're upgrading your receiver significantly from Pittman to CD, although Pittman's starting to come on a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Well, he also followed up. He said, should I offer Kamara and Ridley instead of Pittman Edmonds, or do you lose that? I wouldn't get rid of Ridley there. I think I'd keep Kamara Ridley over Najee CD, yeah?
Should offer Kamara and Ridley. Yeah, I would keep Ridley.
Yeah.
I would keep Ridley. Don't trade. Here's 2 reasons why you don't trade Ridley. Number 1, because he's getting the target share. He's getting the double-digit targets weekly in this offense. He's an elite receiver. He's going to produce. Number 1. Number 2, if you move Ridley, you're trading him at a low. You're not going to get elite value back for a guy who's an elite receiver. It's not a good time to trade Ridley. You should be trying to acquire Ridley, not trade him. Don't offer that. Don't offer that, Triple X.
Okay. Trip clap. Y'all only usually go for about an hour, don't you, Jeff?
Yep.
We're sitting at 47 minutes, and we've been through 2 games. We got people just killing us with questions, but I kind of love it.
Don't worry about it. By the way, I'm East Coast time, but I'm good. Don't worry about me. We'll go all the way up to game time if we have to.
Well, I know last week y'all ended up going like an hour and a half. As
long as Jeff is good with that. Jeff's the boss.
Somebody will need to tap me on my shoulder to wake me up.
I was saying Tony and Seven went for like an hour and a half last week.
No, man, I'm having fun. This is good.
Thoughts on Waller's performance? Do you think he'll return to last year's form, or do you think the Raiders' offense has changed away from him?
Not at all.
I think Waller is Waller.
Yeah.
I don't think it's changed away from him at all.
No, not at all. Don't worry about Waller. Waller, just like we were talking about with Ridley, Waller is still commanding the largest target share in this offense. Waller is going to be absolutely fine. And you saw how they utilized the tight end last week. It shows you that they still really value the tight end position.
Exactly.
If you can get Waller now, get Waller now. Do not worry about Waller.
Everybody hits slumps, right? Nobody's perfect every week. So,
right.
Well, here's another thing too. When you're assessing your players, when you're assessing your lineup, one of the things you want to kind of look at, I think, is let's talk specifically about Waller. What potential does he give you on a weekly basis? And Waller really is one of 2, maybe 3 guys now, if we see another game like this from Pitts. But right now, one of 2 guys, him and Kelsey, who both of those guys have the potential to finish each and every week as tight end 1. There really aren't any other tight ends who give you that potential every week to finish as tight end 1. We'll see about Pitts. Things are looking very good with him. I'm not worried about Waller. The numbers are there.
Yeah.
All agreed.
You look at what they did with Moreau last week. That just tells you, filling for Waller, and he actually filled in great. So they were still going to the tight end. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I own Waller in a couple leagues, and seeing Moreau kind of go crazy last week, I was like, now you're throwing him touchdowns and stuff. It kind of frustrated me a little bit.
I wonder though, Kyle, I wonder on Waller, because obviously you've got him, I've got him as well. He was inactivated for that game. I wonder if he's been dealing with that injury. And
He might be. He might have been dealing with it for a while, and they just didn't say nothing until last week. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because you didn't see anything until all of a sudden Saturday he popped up on the injury report. And I wonder if it's just been nagging him. So I think 2 weeks rest, come back fully healthy. I'm all in on Waller for the playoff push and run.
Agreed. All right, King Marcelo, start Justin Herbert at home versus the Patriots, or trust Sam Darnold at Atlanta in a better matchup? Trust is not the word.
That can't be a real question.
I hope that's like a parody question or being sarcastic.
Yeah.
You're not sitting Herbert for Darnold ever.
Yeah, exactly. And I had actually said at the beginning of the year, I thought P.J. Walker was a better quarterback than Sam Darnold anyway. Or a better play for Carolina. And he might be. So, yeah, Sam Darnold, I'm totally out on.
Marcelo, there's a chance Darnold won't even finish the game this week.
Yeah.
He could get benched at halftime. You cannot trust Sam Darnold.
Agreed.
At all. And you know, the matchup is not a better one. You would think maybe because of the Atlanta defense, but actually, to be honest with you, the New England defense has been a little bit more friendly to quarterbacks in fantasy. Not by much, but by a little bit. So,
yeah, sure. All right, pick 3 running backs: Mike Davis, Alec Collins, McKissick, Devontae Booker, David Johnson. Just picked up about 5 minutes ago.
Can you put up some other running backs? How about we say that? Are there any other running backs you can put up here?
Oof.
Man. Mike Davis, definitely not.
Yeah. Collins plays the Jags.
Yeah, I'd be looking at the middle 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Collins, McKissick, and Booker. I mean, I don't know who's running the ball right now, to tell you the truth, in Houston. If it's Lindsey or it's David Johnson, they're going to pull somebody out of the stands. I have no idea what's going on in Houston.
That'd probably be best. Just hold a raffle and pull someone out of the front row.
Who wants to tote the rock for the Texans this week?
They traded for the guy from Tampa Bay that caught Brady's ball, 600th ball. That was the something nice Brady was talking about. You've been traded to the Texans as a running back.
I'm just kind of looking real quick. I would probably put David Johnson in there, only because it looks like, with that. Who did they trade? Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
They are talking about now getting David Johnson, the football, kind of getting more involved, and Philip Lindsay more involved. He is the receiving back. He did have 6 targets last week, 5 catches, so that does kind of give him a higher floor. That, and he has a neutral matchup this week, so I think I would probably put David Johnson in there because you're picking 3. You're absolutely crossing off Mike Davis, so you're going to choose between Collins, McKissick, and Booker. And how did you guys rank those?
Well, since Gibson is there, you're looking at McKissick as a 3rd down only. So probably go with Collins and Booker as guys that are actually starting.
They're my 2 locks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So flip a coin for McKissick or Johnson.
Yeah.
I think Johnson has more guaranteed, he's got more of a defined role now in that offense. I think I would trust him over McKissick.
Like for me, I want to see the split with him and Lindsey first.
Fair enough.
Running game better not this week, but maybe next week when Tyrod Taylor gets back. That could open some things up again.
Also true. All right.
We'll see.
Spy Coffee. Should I trade Gaskin after his good game?
Should I trade Gaskin?
Depends on what you can get for him.
That's what I'll say. If you can, yeah.
Yeah.
It also depends what you're doing at running back. If you trade Gaskin, is that going to hurt you at the running back position? Because I do think that Gaskin
probably not. Probably won't hurt much.
Possible.
Yeah, who else do you have? Who are your other running backs? So if we're able to find that out.
I don't know. I might hold Gaskin unless you can get real good value for him, just because Malcolm Brown is now, is on IR. So that definitely boosts Gaskin's value. He is that now the number one running back. It's no longer going to be that same committee type approach. So he does have more value moving forward. And so unless you can get good value for him, he's going to be a starting running back, and they're not easy to find this time of year.
True. Yeah. Very true.
I was going to say running backs are few and far between right now.
Yeah, starting running back, so that's true.
He also says, is this a fair trade? Kelsey and Aaron Jones for Kamara and Waller. Oh, it's a trade going on in our league. It must be. Please tell me you're not playing in a veto league. Please.
I'd love to be able to Can I? You mind if I comment on this, Jeff?
No, please do. Please do.
Spy Coffee. This is I really. It is a kind of a pet peeve of mine. It's other people trying to assess trade fairness, and you really can't do that in a fantasy league because player value is really very subjective. Mm-hmm. And if I were to tell you in the beginning of the season that I was going to trade DK Metcalf for Jamar Chase before week 1, everyone would have been up in arms and said, that's a totally unfair trade. This guy's getting DK Metcalf and he's giving someone Jamar Chase. And yet Jamar Chase is not even close in fantasy points. So let guys run their teams the way they want to run their teams. Let them value players the way they want to value their players. And don't get caught up in trying to judge a trade and say whether it's fair or not. What you want to do as far as trades are concerned, and really the reason for the veto is to prevent people from cheating, from committing collusion, which is where they work together to sabotage the league. But if Kelsey and the Jones owner feels like he's getting a fair deal and a good deal for his team, and same thing with the Kamara Waller owners, then let them do the trade. Don't get caught up in trade. Don't get caught up in trade fairness because it's 100% subjective.
I agree 100%.
Totally agree. Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if I'm saying that right. Regier Productions had a follow-up. He had to use 3 running backs. He has a lot of buys or injuries. So flex position has to go to that McKissick or David Johnson pick.
Whoa.
So.
Whoa, yeah, you are. Ooh, God, that's tough. That's brutal.
That's a tough draw right there with injuries.
Yeah.
Dang.
Sheesh. Flex position has to go to that third RB. Well, yeah, okay.
I gave you my opinion. I think David Johnson is the call. Because he has more of a defined role. You don't know what to expect from McKissick.
We don't know what the definition of that role is there yet. It could be Lindsey that they want to lean on. Okay. I don't think it should, but it's Houston. I want to see the split before I'm playing a Houston player. So I'll take McKissick's third down role this week.
Yeah, but I think David Johnson is a lock for 15 to 20 touches, and he's being utilized in the passing game. You could be right. I mean, maybe they're both startable. Maybe they're both better options over McKissick. I just don't think McKissick has demonstrated to me enough of regular involvement, to kind of trust him in that role, especially as Antonio Gibson gets healthy.
Well, there you go. Do with that what you will. You got differing opinions all the way around.
Opinions, yeah. We could be on opposite sides. Let's see what happens on tomorrow.
Let's see. Gaskin, Pollard, Mitchell, Carter, or Gainwell? Give me Gainwell.
I think I'm going Gainwell as well.
I like Mitchell.
Tony, just got to be contradictory. I'm just playing.
I mean,
He's smarter than me, so maybe go with the smarter one here.
He leads the team in carries. You can almost bet on him to get somewhere between 17, 18, 19, 20 carries a game. I mean, that's kind of where he's been coming in at. There are some injuries on this Bears defense. I know Hicks is out. I know Khalil Mack is out. I know he's getting back one of his offensive linemen this week. And so again, I like Gainwell, and I think Gainwell is a super sleeper this week. And if you do DFS, he's a guy you can probably get real cheap. But we know Mitchell is going to get the touches, and we know that they're going to ride him as their running back. So I like that when I'm thinking about who to start. He's got a very high floor. He gets the goal line looks. He gets all the the quality touches. Mitchell would be my guy.
And the only thing that I'm afraid of with Mitchell is the fact that he is a San Francisco 49ers running back. Because, yes, he can get all the carries he wants in one game and break his toe stepping out onto the field the next game. That's the only thing that scares me, man. Other than that, I'd be like, yeah, go with Mitchell. Especially
fair enough.
But like I said, after his last game, he could get hurt, and then it's Jermichael Hasty or somebody, that comes out there and takes over the backfield. That's the only thing that scares me and drives me crazy about
it's the injuries.
49ers. Just their whole backfield situation scares me.
They're cursed.
Yeah.
So
them in Baltimore are cursed.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. But he does have a good draw. If he can stay healthy, then, I don't think you can go wrong with either Gainwell or Mitchell. Well, I'll take that back. The one thing that I'm afraid of with Gainwell, I think I'm rooting for him to get most of the touches, but you never know. You can end up seeing a Boston Scott out of nowhere and be like,
right.
That's true. And Hurts will get your touchdown. So it's going to be just never know.
Exactly.
So we got Baba Booey, who I'm pretty sure Tony knows. Drop McKissick for David Johnson. We pretty much already covered that.
We
have differing opinions.
So I know Baba Booey personally, and Bobby Booey has never seen a waiver wire pickup that he didn't like.
In fact, he's sitting in the other room right now, hearing you talk crap.
No, he's not. No, he's with his girlfriend right now. So.
Oh, okay. So she's probably pissed off at him then. Like, what are you watching?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm ready to drop McKissick for David Johnson. What do you guys think? This is not a play. This is not who do I play tomorrow. This is who do I want on my roster.
Yeah, I'd rather keep McKissick, especially if I'm a Gibson owner.
Yeah, exactly. Because
he doesn't own Gibson. He traded Gibson away.
I think I'd still rather have McKissick.
Yeah, well, I do think McKissick has a real role in this offense.
Right.
Part of the reason why I think I would prefer McKissick is just because, for one, if anything happens to Gibson, you're going to want McKissick.
Right.
And number two, because I know Baba Booey personally, I also know that he has Brandon Cooks. So you're not going to start Brandon Cooks and David Johnson, Baba Booey.
True. That's also true. All right. Next question. Zach says, Khalil Herbert or Elijah Mitchell?
This
is your call, Jeff.
I'm going with my man, Khalil Herbert. He's been paying dividends for the last 2 weeks for me. Why stop now? And this San Francisco defense, it hasn't been what everybody expected it to be. And honestly, Herbert, man, is just a real tough guy. I mean, as far as getting yards after getting hit, he reminds me a lot of Montgomery. That's why I took him instead of Williams. You know, and I think they're going to run the ball. Hopefully, I was real upset with Matt Nagy for not continuing to run the ball with this guy last week, but thankfully Nagy won't be there this week, so maybe they'll be wise enough to continue to run the ball this week. So
everybody on that team and in them stands will be excited not to see Matt Nagy on the
Exactly.
sidelines this week.
We get to see our future.
What do you think, Tony?
I like Herbert. I like Herbert. I probably would lean Herbert mostly because he is utilized in the passing game. And so when you got a guy, PPR, again, assuming it's PPR. If it's PPR, Herbert. If it's standard, Mitchell. Because I know Mitchell's going to get those touches. Plus, he's going to get those goal line carries. And so he gives you opportunity for score. Herbert, though, Herbert's deadly. This guy, I don't know how many people expected him to kind of produce the way he's produced. He has the real potential to kind of lock down this job, other than Jeff. Jeff was the one guy who called it. So kudos to you, Jeff. Give you another shout out for that. But that utilization in the passing game, again, I've said this before, and you guys already know this, but when you're utilizing the passing game the way they're utilizing him, it really raises your weekly floor. You know, if you know he's good for 5 to 6 catches, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, that's really kind of what you want with your running backs if you can get that on your in your starting lineup. So I'd lean Herbert for that reason, but it's a tough call. And again, I'm assuming it's PPR.
Yeah, same. I agree with both of you. So now we got Carbon Oxide asking Javonte Williams or Eli Mitchell this week.
Wow.
Got a lot of Mitchell questions this week.
A lot of Mitchell questions. Are people afraid of this Bears matchup or what? Like, that's the only thing I can figure. Is they're afraid of that Bears matchup? But I think Eli's easy choice.
Man.
Yeah, I just, you know what you're going to get out of Mitchell. I'm looking at Javonte Williams. I knew he didn't have as many touches last week. 4 carries last week, 6 receptions. So he touched the ball 10 times. He had a touchdown, which really saved his fantasy day.
Yep.
It's just Mitchell's a lock for almost 20 touches. I mean, he's going to carry the rock. In Kyle Shanahan, much like his father, they run that zone blocking scheme, and they are going to pound the rock with whoever is the running back. Mitchell is the guy. Unless you got a significantly better option, you've got to roll with Mitchell.
Yeah, this is the one I would definitely say Mitchell as well because of his touches. It's going to be significantly higher unless Gordon gets hurt or taken hostage and he doesn't show up to the stadium, something like that. But with that not happening, I'm going with Eli Mitchell.
Boy, that'd be some awful luck, wouldn't it? Spy Coffee following up on the one earlier where it was Jones and Kelsey for Kamara and Waller. This is his team, so it's actually his trade. He's given up Jones and Kelsey for Kamara and Waller. So he had a question about Waller and then a question about his trade.
Yeah, I don't see Kelsey in your lineup, but he has. Can I see it again? Can we put it back up there?
Yeah, he didn't include him here, but he has Jones, so he must have Kelsey also.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're getting Kamara because I think out of Jones and Kamara, I'd probably rather have Kamara. Of course, Kelsey right now we know has been a better option than Waller. But again, it's I don't want to tell you whether it's fair or not. I think it's a fair trade. I don't think it's an unfair trade. I don't know who wins the trade. We'll have to wait and see how things work out between now and the end of the year. I can't predict that.
Yeah. You know what, Tony, and you just made the best point on that. And that's why it was hard for me to even look at that because, I don't know who wins that trade. It's like you're really giving up guys that are similar. There's one week where Aaron Jones might dominate, and then there's another week where Kamara might dominate. And same with, Kelsey and Waller. So, I mean, I think you're good with what you got now. I don't think you're getting a significant upgrade to where we're like, pull that trigger right now. It's just kind of like, it might help you 5 points on one week. It might lose you 5 points on another week. So I don't know if it's really worth doing that.
So just real quick too, Spy Coffee. I mean, I absolutely agree with you, Jeff. I have stock in Jones, and so Jones has been a little bit up and down this year. Last week he came off a down week. People were talking about moving Jones, concerned about Dillon getting more involved in that run game. We saw Dillon really get a ton of carries on Thursday night. Jones is still the running back to own in Green Bay. He really is the only one who's being utilized in the passing game. Once they get in the red zone, Jones is in. Jones getting all those goal line touches, all the goal line carries, getting the quality carries. And with Kamara, I was going to say Kamara, I think out of the two is probably a safer bet weekly, just because he's so heavily involved with that offense. But they just traded for Ingram. So what is Ingram's role going to be now in this offense? And I'm not really sure of the health of Tony Jones, but you saw Tony Jones getting involved early too. So I think there are pros and cons to both sides. At the end of the day, it just comes down to how you personally view these players, how you value them. And, you sometimes just got to go with the guy you think is going to give you the best chance to win now and on the season. But I agree with you. I don't know. You have to wait till the end of the season to see who won that trade. I don't really know how to assess it right now.
And again, if you'd have seen Wall Street on Wednesday night with Tony, he would tell you to buy Aaron Jones. So, but with Kamara, maybe not.
When I did Wall Street on Thursday, we actually did it. I think we was Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
I was saying buy Aaron Jones now before tomorrow night's game, because I was saying that tomorrow night's game is looking like it's going to be an Aaron Jones game, which it was. And so I was saying buy him now, buy him low. Now he'd be selling him high.
Right. Yeah. And then one more thing too, just talking about Kamara. One reason he's getting a lot of touches and a lot of passes thrown his way. They don't have anybody else to really throw the ball to right now. That could change when Mike Thomas comes back, so you don't know what's going to happen as well. So you got Ingram coming in. We're probably 2 weeks away from Michael Thomas coming back. I don't think it will affect him that much, but you just don't know.
Yeah. Productions here says, does Dawson Knox play next week? If not, what's he do with his tight end spot with Thomas and Seals Jones on a bye? It's a little out of our time frame for this particular show, so I'd just say just hold up, see what's on waivers, and go with your gut, or come see us on.
Did they put him on IR? Was Dawson Knox put on IR, or they just, because I know they're expecting him to miss?
He was not. They expect him back next week, but it could be one more maybe. But we have a couple of shows on Tuesday before waivers runs. You could come see what we think about it then. We haven't dug that deep in yet. We're still on week 8, bud.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not till next week, so you don't have to make a decision right now what to do.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of guys. There are a couple of guys you can probably find on waivers that I would like as a plug and play.
Right.
Yeah. There's always somebody. Mo Alley Cox, for example, or something like that. I don't know.
I've got Ricky.
I don't know who's on bye next week yet. Like, I haven't even looked that far ahead yet to see who's on bye next week. So, okay, so we're out of questions for the moment. Y'all want to try to truck through some of these games, because we're sitting at a minute 13 already. So maybe we can just run through them real quick. Niners at Bears.
Let's see. Bear side, my man Khalil Herbert. That's about it for me.
That's fair. That's more than fair.
So real quick before you, let me ask you, Jeff, what do you think about Cole Komet? Do you have any? Because he put up a decent game. Do you like him at all, or no?
I just don't know how much they're going to trust. I think he would probably be the one receiver if I was going to choose anybody to actually play. I don't know how much time Justin Fields is going to have to throw the ball. And then he actually had a couple of costly drops which I was like, really? I actually had picked him up earlier in the year, and it's just been kind of disappointment city,
Yeah.
with me with him. So, I mean, if you need a spot tight end guy, maybe, I would say that would be a low level guy I would throw in there. Possibility just understanding that I don't think Justin Fields is going to have a whole lot of time to get the ball downfield, so he may be dumping off to Comet within that intermediate 10 to 15-yard range.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
What do you think, Tony? Anybody you're looking at on the Niners?
Mitchell and Debo.
Besides Mitchell.
Yeah, just the obvious guys you got. I think those are, unless you have a better option at running back. I mean, those are both must starts.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that, I completely agree with everything Jeff said. You're not touching this Chicago offense. Allen Robinson's all over waivers now. You can find him. Darnell Mooney is. I know he was kind of like a hot waiver wire pickup a few weeks ago, and yeah, I just don't think you're going to be able to trust this offense at all moving forward. Cole Komet is a gamble, but if you're hurting at tight end, he certainly is an option there to kind of as a streaming option for you this week. There are a couple of interesting guys though on waivers, I think, and I think as we go through the games, I'll throw a couple out there that I think that might be a streaming option for you.
Yeah, so it's a play your obvious players and don't get cute type of matchup. What about Steelers at Browns?
Ooh, definitely my man Najee Harris. I'm hoping he runs all over the Browns.
No brainer.
Yes, Deontay as well. And I put both of those guys in a lineup, man. I never try to put two guys on one team in a lineup, but those are two guys I actually have done that with. Claypool as well. I mean, I think he might. And I'm telling you, a guy that's if you need a tight end in a pinch, Pat Freiermuth, man, he might be somebody to look at as well.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Unfortunately, since I sucked on drafting quarterbacks this year, I have to start Ben Roethlisberger. So.
Ouch.
God, what is that, like a 16-team league, or did you just wait way too late?
I waited way too late.
Gotcha. People start drafting backup quarterbacks in round 10, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
I agree. I do like, and I was actually one of the guys that that I wanted to kind of mention too at the tight end position. He's definitely a good sleeper. So no, we're 100% on the same page on the Cleveland side. I don't know what you think about Dearness Johnson and Chubb.
Bench them all. All the Browns, right. Bench them.
I mean, if you drafted Chubb, it's unlikely that you can afford to bench him this week. Right. So if he's a full active tomorrow, which it looks like he's going to be, how do you not roll with Chubb? I think the question really is Dearness Johnson. Is Dearness Johnson going to have a role in this offense?
Right.
Especially with Hunt out.
True.
Hey, Rieger, because I see your question here. While we're covering some of these games, why don't you post a couple of tight ends you have that's on your waiver wire claim, and we can rank them?
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, what about Eagles at Lions? We're starting everybody on both sides, yeah? That matchup's great for both teams.
I'm hoping so.
It should be. On paper, it should be.
Yeah.
I do want to say, because I know, and Jeff brought up and made a very good point too, that Boston Scott could be sneaky depending on how they utilize that split with him and Gainwell, but I'm not starting Scott.
No.
You said everybody. So on that Eagle side of the ball, if you're starting a running back, you're starting Gainwell. You're not starting Scott.
Very true. Very true. And I guess on the Lions side, definitely Swift.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
Swift.
Matchup proof at this point.
Yeah.
He is. I'm just wondering if people are going to get sucked into the same thing. Amon St. Ra was getting a bunch of targets. Now everybody's switching to Khalif Raymond since he got targets last.
I was just about to ask you about Raymond. I don't trust that.
Man.
I don't trust that one bit.
Neither do I. Neither do I. I don't know who's going to do what other than Hawkinson, and you can't even trust him right now. So, it's kind of like just a wait and see who Goff decides to throw it to. Because it's like it's never anybody planned. It's not like they plan to throw it to a certain receiver. So, good luck figuring that out. If you know that, let me know the numbers to the lottery.
For real. Titans at Colts.
Oh man, should be a good game.
Julio's out.
Definitely.
Yeah,
that is my guy. AJ Brown, he's starting to come around too. As long as he can stay healthy, Sheesh.
With Julio out, what do you guys think about like Chester Rogers or that Akine?
Not starting any of them. They're not startable.
Yeah. I felt
this is
before.
This is the Derrick Henry and AJ Brown show.
Yep.
There was some talk about Furser at the beginning of the season, but you can't trust him at tight end. On the Colts side of the football, Wentz is starting to come on, and Pittman. Yeah. Pittman is definitely the number one receiver there. I think he's absolutely, at the very least, a flex play. I think you can trust him in your flex spot. Maybe a low end 2, high end 3, somewhere in that range. But outside of those guys, you got Jonathan Taylor, right? He's a no-brainer.
Yep.
So I got a question for you in talking about the Titans, and we're going to do a callback on the Lions a little bit. We're in a 16-team league. Me and Corey are running a team together. We have Amon St. Ra or Chester Rogers that we have to play this week.
Ugh.
That's horrible.
Right?
Yeah, I'm in position too. I started Amon St. Ra. I'm trying to give him another chance to make up for last week.
But it's hard.
And I just picked up KJ Osborne just in case. So I'll wake up in the morning and try to decide which one of those two to play. I was going to wait till ask you guys that later on as we close the show.
Starting all my Vikings this week, I think, against Dallas, as much as it hurts me to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll flip a coin for those two then, Rogers and St. Brown.
Wasn't Rogers questionable? I thought I saw that because I had looked at him possibly picking him up, and I was like, earlier in the week he had the questionable tag.
I'm not sure. I didn't think I saw that, but I can certainly check.
And that was in Yahoo. So,
he don't have a tag on here that I'm seeing on Sleeper.
You know what? It's off. Yeah, it's gone on.
If it's gone on Sleeper, it's gone everywhere else because they're the last, I think, to update. So,
yeah, that's true. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, against the Colts, I'm just looking at the better defense. Would it be Philadelphia or Indy? He had one target, 1 reception the last 2 weeks, man.
Well, Julio was playing then. He ain't this week.
He
changed things, I don't think it does.
Again, one was against Buffalo. The other one was against Kansas City. So, actually, no, that was Jacksonville. Yeah.
Flip a coin. We're going to go crazy trying to, pick. Do we start the number 60 receiver or 63 receiver? I don't know.
I didn't expect it to take that long. I thought y'all kind of mentally flip a coin and just.
I would start the Detroit because I think Goff's going to have to pass the football, and we've seen Amon St. Brown put up some points and put up kind of have at least a decent floor. He has collapsed the last week or two, but I'd probably feel more comfortable starting him over Rodgers just because Tennessee doesn't throw the ball as often. Derrick Henry's going to pound the football, and any passing they do is going to go to AJ. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Quick question over here, Mr. Sarcastic. What's up, guys? Who would you start, Zeke or Debo?
ooh, Zeke.
Zeke.
Yeah.
You got to go Zeke there. And then Rieger followed up. He has Dan Arnold.
Wait a second. Go back to that a second.
What?
Who posted that question?
Mr. Sarcastic. So he's probably being a smartass, isn't he?
Mr. Sarcastic, that's my question for you. What league are you in where you have to decide between Zeke and Debo Samuel? Who are your other players that you're starting over these guys?
Four-man league.
Oh
my God,
man.
that's funny. So Rieger followed up. I guess his waiver tight ends are Arnold, Sweeney, Mercedes Lewis, and Mo Alley Cox.
Oh,
I'm going to say Mo Alley Cox, and I don't even know who they're playing yet out of that group, but it's not great.
let's see, next week is week 9. I'm trying to look here.
I don't want to spend too much time on this one since it is next week.
No, we can go quick. I would say, okay, so Buffalo has Jacksonville next week. So you're not going to take Arnold because Buffalo's brutal against the tight end. Cross him off your list. I was going to say Arnold, but not with that matchup. I think Sweeney is the guy, and here's why. Because Jacksonville is one of the easiest defenses versus the tight end. Plus, you have Dawson Knox. So if Knox starts, you start Knox. If Knox doesn't start, you've got his backup Sweeney. So I would probably grab Sweeney and know that you're going to be covered either way. That's what I would do.
I think that's a good strategy, honestly.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You like Allie Cox. I know you like Allie Cox, Kyle.
I do, but as always, your explanation is on point. So I'm with it. Justin White asked, should I start Gronk or Goddard? Or he also followed up, or Schultz. I'm not starting Schultz.
Goddard is a safe play.
Is Gronk back?
It's looking like he's going to be. They haven't announced 100%, but he's been practicing, so.
Yeah.
I'm checking now. I didn't see anything about I didn't realize he was – I know he was practicing, but I didn't know that they had him active, so.
I'm going with Goddard here, though.
Right. Okay.
Goddard as well.
All right.
I'm with you guys.
Then we are agreed. So let's hop back over here to these games and hit Bengals Jets. Start all the Bengals, sit all the Jets.
I might even start Tyler Boyd in that game.
Joe Burrow going to be like Oprah in that game, huh? You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown.
Exactly. I was, though, looking at this, I was struggling because Jamison Crowder is on a lot of waiver wire leagues that I'm in. And with Corey Davis being out, who is Mike White going to throw to? So, it's not they have the best running game either. So, if you need a spot filler, that's what I was kind of looking as well. I was wondering, possibly him or playing him instead of Amon St. Ra. I don't know. So
maybe could dump it to Michael Carter a lot too. What do you think, Tony?
True.
I don't know that I'm starting anybody outside of Jamar Chase in this matchup.
Mixon.
In Mixon. Other than that, I think you're sitting everybody else, including Higgins. I'm telling you, the Jets, if you check, the Jets have been surprisingly good against the pass.
They have.
They've only allowed 3 wide receiver touchdowns on the season. And they've prevented, I think, all but one. I can't remember the number. I think it's like 75 or 80 yards. Only one receiver this year has gone over 75 or 80 yards against this passing defense. So that's probably the one strength that they have. I wouldn't start Higgins. You're not starting Boyd. I don't know how you can't bench Chase. You just can't bench him now. So.
Right.
I did want to guys, are you a little bit, if you are a Mixon owner, are you a little concerned about how many carries that Samaje Perine's starting to get?
Yeah, I think I let him have a decent game against the Jets, and I'm shipping him. if you hadn't already.
Right.
I think Mixon seems to be the consummate or perennial kind of. He's going to break out this week guy. It's like every week we expect this guy to this is the game. This is a Mixon game. And he just constantly disappoints. He doesn't deliver to the hype.
Right. He's been that for the last couple of years.
100%. 100%. So, and I think, in fairness to him, their offensive line is a liability. It's one of their weaknesses. And there was a lot of talk in the draft because they decided to go with Chase rather than one of those offensive linemen. So, yeah, you got to start mixing. The problem right now, Kyle, with the Jets is they looked horrible with Zach Wilson. They're going to be even worse with Mike White.
You're right.
How do you start Carter? I think, Carter's a great dynasty buy, but I don't know that I want him rest of the season in redraft.
I guess it depends on your injury and your depth situation.
Sure.
But, I have to start him in a league this week.
Well, and talk about offensive lines. The Jets' offensive line is just as bad as Cincinnati's. So they are not creating lanes for him. They're just, and it's the type of guy you got to get out in space. He's not a bruiser.
Right.
So, no, I'm not starting anyone on the Jets roster.
All right. Justin White says, should he start Mike Evans in a bad matchup against Lattimore or Emmanuel Sanders?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's.
So, okay. I would like to see if Gronk is back. Is Gronk? From what I can see, he's more or less kind of a game time decision. He's questionable going into tomorrow. Let's see if he's active in the morning. If he's active, I think that does kind of knock Mike Evans. Mike Evans seems to be almost like he's like the textbook boomer bust guy. Either he has 3 touchdowns or he has 2 catches for 15 yards, one or the other. So I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I was just about to say that after the week he had last week, I don't see him following that up again with another big week.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Especially after giving away that 600 touchdown pass.
Exactly.
I actually sent you a funny meme about that, didn't I, Tony? It's like, I just wasn't thinking. I accidentally threw it in the stands. And Brady's like, I might accidentally forget to throw you another touchdown pass.
Right, exactly. No, I like Emmanuel Sanders in this matchup against his Miami defense.
Yeah, I do too.
Great matchup for him.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking, Justin.
And two, New Orleans, I think, is going to try to come out and prove a point in this game. So, I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to be a better play.
Yeah, I agree. All right, real quick follow-up to Rieger's tight end for Week 9. Do you want Mercedes Lewis? He already has Rodgers, Deontay, or do Sweeney? I'm still saying Sweeney.
Oh, so he's got basically all of the Green Bay Packers anyway. So he's got.
Yeah, I don't want a third one, but that's not a very productive position in Green Bay anyway. So.
Right. And I see his reasoning, with Tanyan being out, maybe I'll go ahead and go with Mercedes Lewis. But, if Adams is back, I think Rodgers is going to be trying to force him the ball just to make up for what he didn't have the week he was out for COVID protocol. I think Sweeney could be a good play. I think, especially like what Tony said, if you already have Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
That way you can go ahead and pick and find out who's going to play and go with that person. So.
Right. Tony, any more thoughts on that? You pretty much went through your whole Sweeney spiel earlier, so I assume you agree with us. Stick with Sweeney, yeah?
I do, but we're going to spend a lot more time talking about this than I think we're prepared to. So I was going
to say we're running out of time. We've already been on for an hour and a half, and we still got a few games to get through. So
here's the only thing I want to say about the Packers tight end is it's a beautiful matchup next week against Kansas City.
That's what I just looked at.
So, that definitely changes the conversation a little bit. Just with that matchup here, but the fact that you have Rodgers and Devontae Adams, I think that's if you didn't have Rodgers and Devontae Adams, then I might go for that Packer tight end. But since you do, you don't want to triple up there and add a tight end to the mix. So I would stick with Sweeney.
All right, one more question. We'll get back to the games. Gronk or Gasicki?
Who, by the way, real quick, I'm sorry.
Can't help it.
Buffalo, no, just take 2 seconds. Buffalo also has a nice matchup next week at tight end. They're playing Jacksonville.
Yeah, they both have a good tight end.
You're not going from a great matchup to a poor matchup. You're going from one good matchup to an even better matchup.
Very true. So you got Gronk or Gasicki this week? I'm thinking Gronk if he's healthy, Gasicki's if he's not, right?
Yep. I'll go with that.
Cool.
You can't play any of the Dolphins against this Buffalo defense.
I was gonna say you might look for a waiver claim if Gronk's.
I wouldn't. Well, I mean, no. If Gronk is not playing, you're playing Gasicki. But if you're choosing between the two, you're not picking the guy who's going up against Buffalo.
Right.
By the way, they're in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's not going to be good for anybody on the Dolphins. All right, let's hit Rams at Texans.
Start all the Rams pretty much. Cup, Bobby Trees, Matt Stafford, and Henderson. Higbee.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of still holding on to Sony Michel for some reason.
I don't think I'm playing him this week.
You're holding on to Sony Michel?
Just sitting on my bench.
Do you have Henderson, or is he just there for no reason?
Yeah. That time Henderson got hurt, I happened to just pick up Michel. He was sitting there, and never got to use him.
Wow. That's kind of wild.
So, yeah.
I guess it's looking like Tyrod Taylor's not playing this week, like everybody thought.
Yeah, Davis Mills is starting.
Yep.
So are we still starting Brandon Cooks or not?
I mean, yeah, Jalen Ramsey will probably be covering him this week, so that doesn't bode well for anybody. But it's like, who else? I guess you don't go with anybody on the Texans this week?
You're not feeling good about it. Maybe David Johnson. Tony likes David Johnson.
I like him as a sleeper.
Well, I mean, the Rams line has not been that great, their defensive line. So
sure,
it's not like guys haven't ran on them. But I'm thinking most people might have a better guy on their roster to fill either in their running back slots or their flex than David Johnson. But if not,
the way running backs have been this year, it's very possible someone's having to start David Johnson. In fact, Rieger says he's forced to start Cooks and David Johnson this week. That's tough. That's very tough.
I'm telling you that at least Johnson has sleeper potential. I'm not telling you that he's going to blow up for 150 combined yards and 4 touchdowns, but
he's not that David Johnson anymore.
But I think you can expect to get more out of him than what you might have thought going into the week, because he now basically, I know we got Lindsey there, but he basically owns that backfield, and he is being utilized in the passing game. So, with Davis Mills there, I actually think it helps David Johnson a little bit more, because they might have to kind of give David Johnson as a check down and kind of an outlet for Mills. And Cooks is still Cooks. Cooks is a great receiver. So let's kind of see what happens tomorrow. But you could be in worse situation if starting. You could be in Tyle's situation where you're trying to pick between who you're trying to pick between. Amon St. Ron and
Chester Rogers. Yeah,
Chester Rogers. So you're in better shape than Kyle.
Yeah, I'd rather have Crooks than them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Patriots Chargers.
Man, I think the Chargers offense gets way back on track this week. And Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, maybe even Jared Cook.
Wow, you're going all in.
Everybody, get all your Chargers in.
Jeff loves a Charger. If you listen to Jeff, the Chargers are going to beat the Patriots 56 to 3 on Sunday. You like the Chargers? I mean, Belichick's okay. So Belichick is notorious in his scheming of taking away the opposing team's best player. So, assuming, let's just kind of a scenario where he accomplishes that goal, who is it then that we think has the potential to kind of have the better game out of the offensive options there? Who do you think is the guy to?
Because it seems like I said, and that's the question. I'm wondering, is he going to pick Eckler or is he going to pick one of the receivers? And, everybody thinks Keenan Allen is the wide receiver one. And from the beginning of the year, I've been kind of like, knowing what Joe Lombardi's doing, I'm looking it's more Mike Williams, which it has been for a few weeks. So I have Mike Williams in a couple of leagues. I'm actually hoping that they're choosing to go ahead and try to stop Keenan Allen. And Herbert and Williams continue to have a really good rapport. And also them trying to stop Austin Eckler. But I'm wondering, after what happened with the Ravens, if they've got a point to prove this week and they want to really prove it against the Patriots. So, and that's the one thing. Patriots defense has been somewhat good or they've been really bad. It's been, kind of up and down from week to week. So I'm wondering which Patriots defense we're going to get this week.
So they're weakest against receivers. The Patriot defense is.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you're not starting Eckler. But
True.
I don't know that I'm starting Cook. I think
I probably wouldn't start Cook.
But I do think the receivers Eckler are safe. And what about on New England side? Anybody there that you feel comfortable starting?
Other than Damian Harris.
You like Damian Harris in this game?
Not really.
Yeah, Harris, Jacoby Myers, and Hunter Henry. That's really the only three viable options.
I'm not even starting Hunter Henry. I'm not starting Jacoby Myers in this game, but
I think Henry is startable.
Well, I talked about this. I don't remember what show we did during the week, but the number one start in all of fantasy football, position-wise, team-wise, is tight ends versus the Chargers. That is where the most fantasy points are. The most beneficial. I don't know how to say. You guys don't get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right. This is the margin position that you want to start with the margin, right? So Hunter Henry on a revenge game against his old Patriot, team. I think I like that play. I think I like Hunter Henry in this game. But outside of that, Dick, you say Damian Harris. The problem with Damian Harris is so touchdown dependent. So,
right.
That's the one knock on Damian Harris, not being utilized at all in the passing game.
Yeah.
So, you could see him tomorrow, 15 carries for 80 yards.
Right.
That could be a stat line.
All right, I'm going to jump back over here to the chat. We had another question come in. Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb without Dak?
We had this conversation earlier, right? We said Jeudy.
Yeah, Jeudy. I couldn't remember that we've been through so many questions if we had that specific comparison or not.
Yeah, we did.
We've had multiple people ask the same question kind of different ways tonight too, because everybody's curious about the same people. Jags and Seahawks.
My Seahawks. We got one wing barely flapping. Oh, man. I'm starting DK, and that's pretty much about it. And just praying he gets one catch that goes for a touchdown. Other than that, I'm just waiting until Russ gets back.
No Alex Collins?
Maybe. I've got him in a couple of leagues, but I've got better options. I'm not sure he's all the way healthy as well. So that's the only other thing.
True.
DK is a sure bet. I'm kind of lukewarm on Alex Collins. As far as the Jags, James Robinson all day. I am on the James Robinson train.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's against my Seahawks. But
What about at the receiver position?
for the Jags,
Jags.
Yeah, you like Chenault at all?
I don't, and it's unfortunate. I thought he was going to have a pretty decent year. I thought it was going to get even bigger when Chark went down. But for some reason, there's just something not there with him and Lawrence, man.
I'll tell you why. It's because Marvin Jones has emerged as the number one there. And then they really like that Agnew kid a lot.
Yeah.
He's really been picking up steam the last few weeks. So maybe, Agnew in a desperate flex. I think Marvin Jones is a really good play this week, though.
Yeah. I even looked at Agnew in one of my leagues, and he is gone. It's like, wow. I've been studying.
I did read during the week that part of the reason why Chenault has not been producing is that they put him into a different position when Shark went down. So they are not utilizing him in the slot. When we saw him have that game, remember where he went off for 10 catches and so he's basically learning a new position. But they are coming off the bye. He is now becoming increasingly more comfortable in this new role. And what I read is that they're planning on moving him all over the offense, kind of like what we saw with Antonio Brown. Kind of moving him in the slot, keeping him in that same position that Chark was filling. And I wouldn't give up hope on Chenault is where I'm going.
Yeah.
If you got him, don't drop him just yet. Keep him on your roster, and let's see what happens in these next couple of weeks.
Rigger thinks Agnew will have a good game too. All right, let's jump over to Washington football team at the Broncos.
Tony, I'm gonna let you start this one off, man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're starting Gibson. You're starting Scary Terry. Definitely. You're starting Ricky Jones probably because you have, maybe you had Logan Thomas. You grabbed him off of waivers, or at some point you grabbed him. But he isn't a bad start this week. I definitely put him kind of top 6 or top 7 tight ends. He's been getting plenty of looks, so I like those 3 guys. On the Denver side of the football, I'm not starting one of those running backs. I don't trust either one of them in this matchup. But you have to start these receivers. This is one of the best matchups for receivers in fantasy. You're going to start Sutton. You're going to start Judy. I don't know if I feel comfortable enough to start Patrick. But those 2 receivers, Sutton and Judy, I expect to have strong games tomorrow.
Probably Fant too, yeah.
I was going to say too. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, you can absolutely throw Fant in there as well.
Yeah.
All right. What about Bucks at Saints?
Yeah. Man.
You're starting all your Bucks. You're not benching anybody there.
No.
And on the Saints side, it's the regular. You're starting Kamara. I do think Callaway has some sleeper potential in this game. I do think they're going to have to throw the football to kind of stay in this game against the potent Tampa Bay offense. So, I see Jameis and Callaway as sleepers this week.
That is true. I was in love with Callaway at the beginning of the season. I'm just kind of I just can't trust him. But it's, again, who else other than Deante Harris or maybe Traquan Smith? I don't trust those guys either. So
but here's the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I was even wondering what happened to Juwan Johnson. He was
I was wondering that same thing actually.
Yeah. Has just kind of been gone. So,
Yeah, no, all fair points, but a couple quick things. I think a lot of us were looking for Callaway, especially after that last preseason game where he went off for 2 touchdowns on the Jags, starting defense. To start the season, Sean Payton really pulled the reins back a little bit on this offense. And Jameis was not really going deep very often. We also saw him using Taysom Hill quite a bit, especially down inside the 10. Taysom, we know, is going to be out again tomorrow. He's still dealing with that concussion. If you watched the game at all last week, I was definitely more optimistic because Jameis threw the ball a lot more. He looked very good. He looked very sharp. And he took at least half a dozen downfield shots. Few of them to Callaway. So a couple he missed, a couple of the guys dropped. You know, I think, again, there's some sleeper potential here in this matchup, in this game. Tampa Bay's a little susceptible to the pass. And so look for Jameis tomorrow to kind of get on track. Again, this is a revenge game for him going against his prior team. And so, you know, if Peyton continues to open up this playbook more and more and lets him take those downfield shots, Callaway's a threat.
He was even throwing down the field quite a bit against the Seahawks in the rain. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I also thought it was interesting. I got a notification. Mr. Jeff's out here picking up Agnew in a league we're in together while we're live.
I just did that too.
I just got the notification. I couldn't help but call you out on it because it's kind of hilarious.
I love it. That's awesome. You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that, Kyle? All night long, Jeff's been taking the lead. And then this last one, he said, "Hey, Tony, why don't you start this one?"
Because he was picking up Jamal Agnew
right away.
I was like, yeah,
he needed to buy a little bit of time. That's amazing. I love that.
That is awesome.
In a league that I actually needed a receiver in this week and didn't realize he was still available.
That is perfect. That's perfect.
Let's see. We got a couple of questions over here real quick. First of all, Shadow Clan says, "Hi. What's up, man?"
Hey.
I'm Shadow Clan.
And then we got, should I start Deante Johnson or Gainwell for the flex? That's tough, man. Gainwell is a great matchup, but Deontay's a target monster.
Yes. That's what I like about Deontay. He is a target monster, but Gainwell could be too. You don't know what's going to happen this week, but I like to go for the sure thing, what you think is the sure thing most weeks, which would be Deontay.
I agree. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, no, I agree too. I mean, I'm hopeful on Gainwell. I see him as a sleeper running back. If you got him, it's because you most likely picked him off waivers this week. But Deante Johnson without a Juju in this offense, you got to start him. He looked great before the bye week. So I think him and Claypool both.
Yeah, Deontay's been looking good all year. He's been playing very, very well. We also got a follow up with Rieger here. He says, I'm dead. Had to pick up Agnew. I love that. All right, we got two more games, fellas. First, Cowboys at Vikes. I know we talked about them quite a bit tonight with the different questions. Anything you guys want to add as far as maybe sneaky plays, people that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, sure. I can give you a couple if you want.
Yeah, hit me.
Yeah, so, I mean, one we kind of talked about and the other we haven't mentioned. So one kind of sneaky play is Pollard. You know, Zeke's a no-brainer. I think this is going to be a Zeke game. But look for them to also, especially if Dak's out, look for them to also incorporate Pollard, get him going, and lean a lot more on this running game tomorrow night against that Minnesota Viking defense. And the other guy, I think, too, especially with Dak being out, that we can look to kind of as another guy in the short to mid-range. They really like to utilize the tight end. And so I think Dalton Schultz is a guy I feel very comfortable starting in this game. You know, a good tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. And so, so I see both of those guys as sleepers in this game. On the Viking side, you got just the usual suspects. I think Cousins is going to have a tremendous game. You're going to start Jefferson. You're going to start Thielen. You're going to, you can even, like you said, Osborne in there. Obviously, you're starting Cook. So, but yeah, those are the two sleepers. Two guys we didn't mention.
Maybe even Conklin if you're desperate for a tight end this week.
Yeah.
Possibly.
All right, let's jump over last game, and then we'll hit this last question that we got over here. Giants at Chiefs.
Going to be an interesting game. I think that Kansas City just blows the roof off with their offense this week. I think they explode all over the Giants. So Tyreek, definitely, Mahomes, Kelsey. Only thing I'm not really, too on board with is who they have as running back. I don't know if Williams is going to do anything. I don't, I would just say I have a better option available.
Yeah.
I just think the big three are going to do their thing, man. And as far as the Giants, I really don't know. I hope you don't have to start anybody on that offense. Only guy I'm really looking at, if Sterling Shepard can't go, which, he might just trot out there and end up getting hurt. Don't know about Tony. I was really, really thinking, again, since I needed to plug in a wide receiver, I was looking at Dante Pettis, but I don't even know, that you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel if you have to do that. But he's the healthiest Giants receiver that they have right now. So I would just wait to see, what the injury report looks like. Luckily, it's a Monday night game. So, like I said, hopefully you don't have to start any of the Giants receivers. But if you do, just check and see if Sterling Sharp is hurt, if Tony's going to play. If you have to run with somebody, maybe Dante Pettis might be your guy, which is a scary thought. But
yeah, right. He did score last week. It's funny because my brother has outsourced his fantasy team now, and so I'm managing his fantasy team for him. And of course, he had Dawson Knox as his tight end. And so when I saw the injury report coming out with all of these guys, with Shepard and Kadarius Toney, and I'm not sure the status of Slayton, but looking like they were going to miss, I ran in, and fortunately, Evan Ingram was out there. So I grabbed Ingram. I think Ingram is a really sneaky play this week in this game, in this spot. Kansas City's been very good for tight ends. So, I do like Ingram. They've also allowed I think, I can't remember the number of yards, but I want to say it's somewhere around an average of 38 yards per game rushing to quarterbacks. And so that could possibly be because they played Baltimore, and so Lamar Jackson boosts that average. But Daniel Jones is he's got some legs on him. So Daniel Jones could be a little bit of a sneaky start here if we need a quarterback in a pinch. On the Kansas City side, I do think Daryl Williams gets back on track this week, simply because last week against Tennessee, just the great game script, they were not really able to utilize him as much. So if you do have Daryl Williams, you picked him up when CEH went down, I think you can probably plug and play him this week, probably more in a flex type role. And then outside of that, all the usual guys, you're not benching your Chiefs. So I know Mahomes has been a little bit off, but I think you could be right. This Giants defense is a little bit sneaky. They're so but I do, like you, look for Kansas City to get back on track. Nationally televised football game. These guys know that they're a lot better than what they've been playing. So expect them to put up a much better performance Monday night.
Like I say, it's going to be a very interesting game. All right, last question in our chat, and then we're going to call it a night. Next week, he picked up Agnew just now. Next week, do you drop him for Keith Kirkwood? No. There you go. Do not do that.
No, you're not. The thing you're not doing right now on this Panther offense is you're not thinking about anybody in that receiving core except for DJ Moore.
Exactly.
You're not starting Anderson. You're not grabbing – Darnold has just been horrible. He's not been good. And so when you have weak quarterback play, it really lowers the ceiling of all of your receivers, including DJ Moore. So you can't, when you look at some of these guys, like these guys, even the Kevin White starting tomorrow, Davis Mills starting tomorrow, the ones who haven't been playing well, Darnold, Fields, those offenses are really struggling, and any of those receivers are really not playable.
Right.
All right, we just hit the 2-hour mark. That was the last question. Wow. Well, Shadow Clan popped one up there. We always get one right as we're getting off.
This is a Jeff question.
Yeah. You think James Robinson will do good against the Seahawks?
Yes.
Yes. We all agree on that. Yeah, we all agree. He will have a good game. All right, we're at the 2-hour mark. We're going to call it there. Guys, appreciate y'all being here. Good stuff.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate your support.
Yes, thank you for being in the chat and watching, and we'll catch y'all next time. See you.
All right.